and it is Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. So, as we discussed yesterday, we were sort of fishing for a possible bottom in the market. And when looking at some of the components of what a good market bottom might look like, we had a few ideas of criteria that we would be on watch for, and ultimately understanding that we're still in a period of volatility. So one of the key aspects of stepping into volatility is that you want to anticipate the move and use risk defined strategies such that your position and your location is good, but the volatility will dictate the profitability after something like a correction is over in the market. Now, we're seeing this across the entire market as a whole, basically sort of a relief rally inside of the equity side of the marketplace. But overall, we still need to be a bit cautious. One, we still have one of the higher volatility readings in general that we've had in recent history. And as it's coming back down, we want to see if we're going to get sort of a secondary spike. And ultimately, are we going to be testing or even slightly breaching our fear lows from last week? So let's dig into that just a little bit and talk about some things we discussed on yesterday's session. First off, the market was able to defend its Friday low and essentially put in a back test of what is currently the previous all-time high. You can see this on an intraday session, and while this may seem a bit arbitrary or maybe structurally not relevant to the current move that we're seeing this morning, it does align quite well with previous pullbacks. Often when you have larger than average moves, especially ones that break previous highs or lows, the first pullback is what a lot of people look for in regards to positioning. They want range expansion, but they do not necessarily want to be caught in a false breakout or a lack of expansion that has the potential to return into the range. And that's where most traders will look for what's called that back test, or that initial move outside of a range, and then the testing of previous upper value to confirm to the market that this value zone is depleted and we're in search of, in the case of an uptrend, higher supply zones. Now, when you look at the previous moves coming back into this area, it's understandable that the market did have a larger correction, but this is coming from an extension of range. So the market was not only able to break out, form new all-time highs, and then essentially find that moment of pause as the market was distributing some upper supply. But as we come back to this lower value zone, it's important for the market to reassess and ultimately realign to a previous area of interest. And you can see how over the past session, we do have some pretty decent structure in regards to this range definition, albeit these are fairly significant ranges from the context of the entire S&P. Now, using this model, we as technical traders have a couple of tools in our tool belt to sort of understand how this move is to be perceived, the type of volume, the type of retracement depth, and ultimately, if the market is able to negate all of this correction by essentially retesting its previous highs. And ultimately, I did mark the initial high, not the false breakout, which was sort of the initial start of this correction. The market is able to retest this area, then we have a pretty clear range on our hands, and this range can be in place for a period of time. Markets do not necessarily move in uptrends consistently, they will find moments to define larger than average ranges. And if the market is to be more distributive in these areas, we're going to be looking for things like weakness, bearish type patterns, or even what a lot of people were thinking, this larger than average sort of head and shoulder structure, if the market were to lose this low. And that would, of course, bring us back down to October lows and ultimately would be a very bearish connotation for the marketplace as a whole. But that's not what happens. We are in the midst of that retracement, potentially back to previous all-time highs. And with our tool belt, we want to start to assess how to interpret this move. One thing that I often like to do when I have a very clear range is understand the level of penetration or the retracement depth based on the recovery. In this case, we have our full 100% move from the high to the low. And in this case, I am ignoring spike highs and spike lows, the sort of false breakdown looks that markets often give before moving in the opposite direction. And you can see by bringing it down to an hourly, using this tool, we're getting into that initial 61.8 retracement already. Basically, the market is already recovering significantly from this correction. Using this model, oftentimes we will see what's called equilibrium in the market. And that's simply a large enough range to where even though the recovery can be significant, we're not necessarily going to be directional for a period of time, as the market has to reestablish sort of a bias. Usually you'll have strategies like range-based trading, sort of selling highs and buying lows. You can use things like volume profile to get a sense of when things are getting extreme, and using VPOC or the fair and balanced price inside of that range is a great target for conservative trades, along with the upper and lower ranges of the entire range being the ultimate goal of that sort of back and forth trading. The objective here, of course, is we are still in a fairly decent bullish uptrend on things like the weekly chart and our longer time frames. However, we know that the market is a bit extended. You're looking at monthly or just the overreach of this 2021 bullish market, the perception of value and how it's been sort of changed with monetary policy. And just making sure we have audio issues in the room, but all that change allows for us to basically take those risk defined positions, knowing that if we have a technical breakdown, a technical breakout, or continue to be in a range, we can sort of take advantage of those moments until the market gives us more clear signals. So we're looking at that sort of move inside of today's session. Last couple of weeks, we've had the difficulty of gap ups in the morning leading to larger than average sell-offs into the intraday session. Usually the stronger selling pressure occurred on larger gap ups. And ultimately, if you're looking at when sort of the fear in the market started, you can start to notice that on the Friday session after the holidays, sort of this range here, this is where the market began selling gap up opens, or basically selling the rips. If the market can reclaim this area, you can see how relevant this is, even though I didn't necessarily align this to the pre-market. But if we can sort of reclaim this area, essentially filling this gap, which it structurally is technically still a gap or a pocket of a lack of inventory. If we can repair this gap and move higher, then that'll basically negate a lot of the fear-based selling we've been seeing. And the hope is that that repair type operation can lead to new all-time highs or just an upper range test, at which point that range-based trading may come into play. So there's some really good structure here. It's something to pay attention to in the next couple of days. We've obviously got all the sort of clear signals of a possible bullish retracement being done. The pullback correction, we've gotten away from this sort of dominant resistance trend line. We've got that possible repair in the gap structure. And we're coming off of significant lows, ones that were defended a couple of times by dominant bulls in regards to the past couple of sessions. So there's a lot to like here. And really what we're looking for is anything that is against that sort of thesis. So if I bring up something like the NASDAQ is a bit of a laggard at this point. Not only was the retracement a little bit more significant, ultimately bringing it once again to its previous all-time highs. We had a bit more overextension in the NASDAQ. But until yesterday, the bulls didn't really have a chance to defend the most relevant lows. If you notice, the NASDAQ on Friday printed the lowest point of this potential correction being complete. And until yesterday's session, the bulls did not defend it. So we didn't really have the same sort of confirmation and signals as the SPY, which had already done that on Friday's session. Monday, of course, printing that higher low and reattaching itself to its previous all-time highs, which has sort of technically helped in the way of this move higher in the morning session. So with the NASDAQ, we just want to pay attention for additional signs of weakness. That would, of course, be indicative of a market that may be trapped inside of this range, because ultimately, if we start to lose tech strength, or if we just see back and forth trading action inside of larger tech products, that will ultimately affect the biased direction of the S&P. And as we've mentioned before, if no other sector is picking up the slack, significantly the market cap weighting slack of the tech sector, then it's possible that the S&P may be a bit non-directional during that phase. So once again, we're looking for like a healthcare to pick up the slack. We're looking for a financial to pick up the slack. Financials coming off significantly with the recent activity in the bond market. We're even looking for something like communications, which is probably our most oversold of all sectors, the likes of Facebook and Google being our two key products here. If they were to start to recover this overcorrection, then once again, this doesn't necessarily have to be a lead bull overall, but it can be a bull during the recovery phase. And when I say overcorrection, overextension, just using terminology that a lot of traders are familiar with, the idea of that oversold condition in the RSI, the MACD sort of hitting critical levels, and basically seeing inflections that we haven't seen since COVID lows. These are readings that are slightly different inside of the market. And that's why it was worth paying attention during this correction, because depending on your style, depending on your risk tolerance, and ultimately depending on what you're looking for as a trade, there were different opportunities both to the bearish side and to the bullish side. You're either looking for the lead bull sectors to sort of have the best recovery. We'll kind of wait and see if tech and consumer discretionaries proves it to us in the next couple of weeks. Or you're looking for the most oversold and basically catching the overextension of the market, using that dominant low to basically define your risk for any bullish trades moving forward. So, as I mentioned, the bond market did come off of an I'll say an over-exaggerated move, or just an elevated move. On yesterday's session, we're giving back what was beginning to look like a possible range breakout. I've gone ahead and marked this range high inside of the TLT, and we do have some economic events this week. This may ultimately dictate the price activity in this product moving forward. I do believe there is an auction this week as well that can introduce additional supply into this particular market. And as we all know, upper supply or additional supply should be perceived as a mostly bearish connotation because it can overwhelm the current demand, which currently has been significant. It's been putting pressure on the equities market during this recent correction. We also talked about volatility slightly, and I brought up the concept of using volatility futures as sort of a gauge as to whether or not a low has significant relevance. And once again, these are early signals. So it's very aggressive in positioning when you see these signs. But if you take that risk-defined approach using stops, using options, or basically just trading small and understanding that you may not necessarily be at the right point, but you can withstand additional downside. All of those factors played into what we talked about yesterday, which was the volatility futures were starting to recover from a period of backwardation. Now, hopefully, most people who attended yesterday sort of remember the definition of contango and backwardation inside of a futures product. It's fairly straightforward from a visual sense. So looking at something like product depth can give you a little bit of insight into what this looks like. So on Friday, let's see, make sure I got the right date here. Yeah, Friday the 3rd, you can see this term structure laid out in a very simple dot chart or a line-based chart. Something like the active contracts, the Jan contracts trading at 28.25, and yet future contracts, Feb, March, April, May, et cetera, are actually priced significantly lower. This is backwardation, and this is what allows a futures product to ultimately look like a bullish trend. For example, if you've been looking at crude recently, crude continues to be in a period of backwardation. This has been true for a large portion of this year. No matter how far back you go, you're going to see that the active contracts in crude are trading at a much higher premium than futures contracts. And that, of course, has its own sort of perception along with understanding of the macroeconomic environment that this particular market exists in. But you might also look at a product that's in a normal structure or possibly flat structure. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. I think natural gas went into some of this recently. Yeah, so these are probably a bit more complex structures. There's a bit more active contracts that you can look through, but you can see how this term structure sort of dictates the movement of these particular assets. Obviously, if the volatility future remained in backwardation, we would likely see VIX remaining in the upper 20s to lower 30s. We would see maybe continual back and forth fighting between bulls and bears in this expansion of range. And ultimately, if the market did make fresh lows, not only would this be another risk factor, but as we talked about, when firms are short Vega or short volatility, the hedging that they have to do to protect against a market that is selling and a volatility that is rising is often in the form of selling ES contracts or selling the market as a basket of stocks. Now, this is what volatility looked like on Friday. Let me update it to yesterday. yesterday, at least in this sort of snapshot of a possible moment in time, not sure exactly what the time frame is on this particular tool, but it is a snapshot. I think it might be at close. You can see that this structure started to revert back to normal term structure, something like contango. At one point, we even had a significantly flat curve. Every single active futures contract with volume was trading at about 27.25. Looked essentially like that flat line, and that was coming from that period of risk where this marketplace was essentially trying to balance itself out. So depending on whether you use this as a signal, as maybe one of your major hedging strategies, or even if you're just looking at the VIX, you're kind of keeping it simple, you're looking at 30-day volatility, and you're noticing that we've currently confirmed at least a short-term high in the VIX. We have all that possible inflection sort of look to the technical chart. We've obviously seen a significant downside move from the lower 30s. And if the market can continue to sort of reduce volatility over the next couple of days, maybe bringing us at least to the 20 print on the VIX, then I think a lot of people will be looking to re-enter the market and ultimately looking for that upper test of all-time highs. So couple of possible stocks to keep on watch today. Yesterday, we traded Baba. Baba was a stock that was both in play from a technical sense and also had some catalytic news in regards to a restructuring of its company, along with some organizational changes. There's also been a lot of discussion with regulators as to the actual risk of delisting for this particular stock. So while this may seem like it is a continual sell-off, it certainly has been a very drastic crash for this particular stock. There are some possible reversal structures forming. For those who are familiar with sort of the 3-candle reversal signals, the likes of a morning star pattern has formed, where we have indecision or sort of a shorter range candle, a gap down with significant volume, and then a full recovery in its 3rd candle, often looking for elevated volume on the last 2 candles, not necessarily the same volume, but covering volume. Now, this is one pattern that is already completed. You can see that Baba is gapping up today. We're coming back into an area of possible resistance, hence why I have it marked. And this, of course, is going to be our relevant monthly, basically 2018 lows that we're gapping into. So a recovery of this area would be indicative of that reversal structure possibly having some significance moving forward. And we can look to Baba to see over the next couple of weeks how it forms its structure down here, looking for where value forms, looking if the market just simply wants to completely reverse or if it's going to take a lot more accumulation to turn this particular ship around. Another area of interest was the travel sector yesterday. I think the more information we learn about this particular variant, its efficacy with with vaccines, its spread rate, its sort of lethality, what can we do with our current knowledge to mitigate risk of this particular variant. All of that sort of factors into the most recent trading we've been seeing. The likes of the JETS ETF, or sort of the travel sector, airlines, cruises, hotels, leisure, entertainment, all of these stocks sort of bundled into one general sense of market or economic reopening and basically population re-engagement with leisure. All of these took place yesterday as we saw a pretty significant move from the lows. We're seeing some recovery in this particular ETF, and the volume is what's most impressive. We're seeing large sort of resurgence back into these products. And that can be seen across anything like airliner stocks, DA sort of recovering this gap. We're looking at stocks like CCL, and of course with different airliners, DAL, even the likes of some other key names, hotels, travel, and leisure and entertainment. I'd also be looking at some other key names that maybe are associated with that. A lot of people have been looking for the bottom in DraftKings amidst a pretty precipitous sell-off. I would say that yesterday, DraftKings is putting in a possible reversal structure. We've got that, of course, engulfing look near the lows. If we pull it back to our weekly, we can see that this is a major inflection point for the stock. Hence why it's always relevant to mark these levels, because as we get into them, the reaction against them is what's going to dictate the sort of opportunity and risk that we can take at this particular price. You can see here that DKNG actually put a bit of a false signal, the likes of possible indecision, but the lack of follow through and the lack of being able to pivot around this weekly close indicated that the stock was ready for another sell-off. So now that we're at a lower support, obviously risk to reward tends to be a bit greater. If you're looking for maybe those oversold conditions or some possible deeper discount plays, this might be one stock to look at on the next couple of sessions. So let's see, last but not least, we talked about the SPY, we talked about the NASDAQ. I didn't necessarily cover the Russell. Russell's going to be heavily dictated by some of the outperformance of inflationary and recovery names in the next couple of days. As I've said, this bounce that's occurring is affecting all markets, but IWM ultimately is back inside of its trading range. So while we may have found a bottom, I've gone ahead and marked these inflection levels, and it does appear as if we are bouncing off of it at this time. Want to be aware of the upside potential. If the market makes new all-time highs, I would say that IWM has a chance to either fill this gap or to retest its previous range high, which I still have marked at approximately 230. It essentially means that this marketplace has a bit of a limited potential in regards to its upper target. I'd want to be careful thinking that even though this is a low, that the market cannot revisit this low on additional corrections in the future, or even just looking at volume profile, understanding that once again, we're just back at value. So we're playing the range once again, the same strategies that we've been doing over the past 8 months before the most recent breakout. This was an exception, not the standard. So keep all that in mind if you're looking to take advantage of this range once again. Option traders can sort of reassess whether they want to sell premium against this range. Range traders can ultimately be looking for low to high transitions, and then everything in between is basically noise. You're looking at a distribution curve here. The best bullish trades come from the lows. The best bearish trades come from the highs. Everything in between is oscillation. So with that said, I think last but not least, I wanted to show this technique for a way to identify possible turnarounds in the market. Now, we've looked at a few things that have helped with this recovery, but as we use volume profile, it's worth expanding upon it a little bit. So what I've done is I've come into the volume profile study. I've got on expansion set to no, and then I've got time per profile set to day. So if you're using daily indication, and if you go down in this case to, let's Let's use a hourly chart to see this possible structure. What this does is it distributes the volume profile only to the day session. So each one has its own particular volume profile. The thing that made me very confident yesterday in looking for the turnaround is not only did the market bounce, but VPOC, or value, changed its structure. It was able to recover from the lows and also to regain or reassess value higher above a 3-day balance area. So when you see these value turnarounds or this move away from lower value to higher value, that's the market signaling that, hey, it's now in search of that higher value. We've rejected lower value, and in that case, we're looking for that higher value movement. So it's that early sign, that indication that the market may be ready to turn around, and that goes against price action or even technical structure, which, as we know, requires confirmation and additional information to really gain confidence in those trades. So with that said, I'm 2 minutes over, so that's my time. Thank you for joining. Stay tuned for pre-market prep, and as always, trade safe. We'll talk more tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you guys had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing well. A little tired. The time changing in flights have finally caught up to me. So hope
Uh,
you hope you're doing well, man.
that would definitely happen. Yep, doing good, guys. Let's get our external link in here and trade ideas. Let's just get that set up here. There we go. So we're good to go. All right, guys. Let's skip over the highlights and stuff for yesterday. Let's get right into our gappers list this morning. This, as you can see, we have quite a bit in the green today. A couple of names that we've seen in the past and some new ones on there. We got Bitcoin now swinging the other way here, up nicely. I see Mara 7.5 this morning. Riot is up nicely, so we'll get into that. Billy. So a lot of Chinese stocks, Norm, I already see on here. First time I'm looking at it on the gap up list today. So obviously things swing in a different direction. And then if you go down around 4 or 5%, you see some of the travel companies bouncing nicely here. So again, just an overall green day so far. Besides these couple of tickers that are in the red, we'll figure out how they messed up today. When the whole market is going up, these guys are going the opposite direction. So that could be interesting as well. A couple of really low flow stocks. Oh, this is 919,000 flow. So
A little
that should be
high.
it. That's a little high for you, I know, but it should be interesting. So with that said, let's jump right into the market. Paul, so what's happening today?
Yeah. So we just had productivity and unit labor cost info come out. We got consumer credit at 3. Nothing really earth shattering in those numbers. You know, we had a big bounce yesterday. Friday we had a sell off, but at the end of the day it reversed and started trading up pretty strong into the close, which is an indication that maybe we'd gap up yesterday. The Nasdaq did not, but we had a hell of a reversal rally that took place yesterday, indicating that maybe we found a near-term bottom in this. So we'll see how it goes. Big gappers list, and yeah, let's just get through it.
Yep, absolutely. Let's get over here and bring in our main charts and let's go through this, guys. So I'm going to remove the stuff from yesterday. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way and let's look at what we have on deck, starting with ACAD. Actually, you know what? Let's start with what's on the bottom, gapping down list today. Let's start there because this list, guys, is going to be one of those days where you can just pick your favorite 5 stocks that you always trade, and you probably will be okay, right? Go back, look at your history, see what stocks you made the most money on, and maybe those will be all right for you today. I don't know. It's just there's so many stocks to watch today. Our list could look completely different. So we're gonna take a look what's gapping down today. SIIG. So SIIG here. This one is again an extremely low flow stock. Had an incredible day yesterday, looks like. But if you look at this day, I mean, just look how aggressive this is, especially around 11 o'clock when it takes off. You got the volume 84 million shares traded. You just got to be careful. I mean, I don't know how, especially a second day. I don't expect this to trade all that well. Also, it's just so much riskier that second day usually. So
Yeah, this
uh,
is
I don't know. I don't know what you do
uh,
with this.
that big deal yesterday was on uh, exploring strategic alternatives, which is kind of code for the companies in real trouble and they're looking to sell or something like that. This float, everything else going on here, this is not something I would personally touch.
Agree. Not a big fan of this, guys. Let's move to CPIX this morning. They are also have a very interesting daily here. Low flow sitting at 8.3. Right now they're down 8.6. Volume is just not there. That's the key thing for these low flows. You need to have volume. Although we moved pretty well yesterday, only with 36 million here, so not okay. But again, we just don't have the volume right now. Now, looking at this pre-market yesterday, we didn't have no volume, and it still managed to have these beautiful breakout here with some good volume, right? You need to see this here. So you kind of have to wait for that. So we'll put it on the side for now. Let's look at SI. SI this morning, 25 million shares flow. And also not looking great. We don't see volume here at all. 318, 11,000 at the moment. So it's just too light for us. AHI. Man, everything on the gap down list is just
Yeah, it's
horrible.
garbage, dude.
This is no
The
good.
last two, the
Yeah.
last two you've discussed. First of all, this is Australian,
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't touch it because of that. Not that I have any ill will towards Australia or Australian people, but that and they have an they both have secondaries. So
Yeah, not the best catalyst. So let's move on to the gapping up list. So nothing to see
uh,
there. ACAD this morning, they
for some
are
reason, every time you say that ticker, I think you're going to start into an Antifa chant.
Yeah. Oh man, yes. I'm sure you and others as well. So ACAD, we'll say ACAD. ACAD this morning, they are up 17.5, 189,000. Uh, again, pre-market doesn't look great. I think we had this on our list before. It's not a great
Yeah, it's
ticker.
a biotech. They had some
Yeah,
phase 3 trial news that was positive, so up 17
very
and a half
very
this
light
morning.
on volume too on the daily, right? I mean, you see here they don't usually get great volume, so that's not fun. Let's go over to STRN. This is a 6.4 million. Okay, now we're getting into your territory, Norm. This is looking rather nice today. Recent IPO, we got some volume coming in here. We're up about 14% now, 648,000 and climbing. What's the news on this? Because it's interesting. Their recent IPO, as far as I can see, they opened up last month, the 9th, right? They had a nice little run, came down here, and now are running up again against their right, obviously new all-time high here, which is not a lot to talk about, but that looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. This just popped up. I don't see anything fresh on it, so quite possibly a pump and dump, but I
Hmm.
might just not have the news. I don't see anything that's anything too new on it.
Gotcha. Let's keep an eye on this one, guys. Definitely looking very active right now. I like the pop we're getting. I like that we're hitting that most recent high after IPO. That could be interesting. Let's see if this means anything for us today. We'll keep that one on here. Low flow of the day so far, very active. JMIA. This one here, again, not. I'm not a big fan of it. They're up 10% this morning. I think today I'm gonna skip on it because I believe that I can find something a lot better than this. Here is
Yeah,
some
I agree.
Bitcoin stuff coming up, right? We have Mara, which I'm probably gonna keep an eye on. So I'll keep an eye on Mara. Let's see if Riot looks any better. You can look at that one as well. Where's Riot? Here's Riot. No, that doesn't look any better. Mara looks the cleanest so far. And again, and even then, they are okay. I mean, they're all up this morning, but I don't see anything great. This might be more of a possible, guys. We'll see how the list looks like as we continue to develop that. PDD, I don't like the way it trades. This one is up right now, 7.8. So if you like this one, you can add it to your list. EVGO will be interesting. Oh, the pre-market doesn't look great though. It
No.
looks very bad here, pre-market wise. So let's skip on that. INTC is popping up here big this morning, 7.4. Do they have any other catalysts outside besides the markets just being strong today?
Yeah, absolutely. So they are essentially going to IPO one of their units, Mobileye, which specializes in automated driving
Hmm.
sensors and such. So that's their news.
Automated driving and EVs, that's a big deal there. Let's see how that's going to trade. Usually INTC does not trade very well. This is a catalyst that could be obviously exciting. We saw yesterday nice little pop there into the late evening there. Let's see where this goes. 3.5 million. That is a lot of shares for this stock. So we'll put that on there. MIME, no good, guys. That looks horrible. Looks like some kind of not a buyout. It's not enough volume, but just doesn't look great. Riot, I have Mara already. Billy on here. Billy could be something. I'll put as a possible for now. It does need to get a little bit better as far as volume. BitF, I'm not gonna add no more Bitcoin. I'm just gonna keep Mara for now. FU to you this morning. They are up 5.6. 296,000. I mean, if I know some people like this one, I don't. I'm not. I'm gonna move on from that. We have JD. Okay, now here we have a lot of the companies that were down. A lot of Chinese companies. I know Baba. I do like Baba. I'm gonna add them on here. They tend to be the cleaner one. You have JD as well if you like that one. I see Plug is coming up here. Plug actually looks very interesting today. I wish they had more volume, but we've seen Plug do this in the past where the volume is not great and you come at the market open and you get an incredible day. And when the volume is amazing, the market open becomes pure chop. So let's give it the benefit of the doubt for right now. Travel companies, NCLH, where's CCL? CCL is on here, it should be. But NCLH is up 5%. CCL is up 4%. Both with good volume. I'm going to watch CCL. Let's take a look at our airlines. I know that's going to be something to talk about as well if some of these travel companies are doing well. American Airlines up 3.8, so that could be interesting. Also, I might put them down if I find something better. Let's look at United as well. UAL. And United is looking good too. So yeah, I'm going to add United here as a possible also. So again, these travel companies is the overall positive stuff with the market. These names that we like to see are going to pop up here. Now, I know the next area we're going to look at is tech, right? So let's start with Apple. So Apple this morning, oh, yes. This is what I'm talking about. This is real nice, guys. 1.2 million.
Goodie today.
Oh yeah, 1.2 million shares traded so far, up 2.5, which again, that is great. But what's even better is this possible breakout or test of the all-time highs around 170 something. So what's that, 170.26 around there? That looks very nice. Definitely on top of our list. Let's put it right on here. That's going to move some of this other stuff down, like maybe Mara or Baba or Plug, right? No reason to have Plug on here when you have Apple looking like this. So that is nice. Next, I know NVIDIA is going to be something to talk about as well. AMD, NVIDIA looking okay. We'll add it on here. They've been pretty nice to trade. AMD has been amazing for us this year. I mean, as far as I can remember, AMD has really been great. In the last month or two, they've been exceptionally great to trade. So 2.6 right now, 597,000. Pre-market action very active already. I like this daily as well. Look how clean this daily is on AMD. You can see the support levels and resistance are. We're finding support at 140 here, getting a little bit of a bounce. Can we get some juice to 150? Maybe. So AMD is going on this list. All right, I'm going to stop here because we can definitely get crazy. Norm, anything you like on your end?
Throw it to the room, man. I'm still looking.
You got it, brother. Let's go to the room here. Let's start with Noob. We'll start with you. You giving us Twitter, TWTR. Twitter this morning, 2.5, 1.4 million shares traded. I like the volume. I don't like the pre-market action as much, but I do like this daily. I mean, they've just been getting killed here, guys. I mean, just look at the downtrend. They were hanging around here on 64, 65, doing just, kind of just moving along here. And since November, I mean, it has been just downhill. So are they finding some support here is the question. Again, volume is there. Pre-market action could be better, but we'll come back to that one. So Twitter is a good one. Apple, Apple's a beauty, guys. No question. I mean, it is looking real nice this morning. We'll see how that's going to end up today. MU, what is MU up to? No, I see what you're looking at here. It has potential. Don't get me wrong. But now, just looking at American Airlines, CCL, Mara, and everything else, I think it's lacking a little bit of volume here right now. That can change. We've seen MU, well, not recently, actually. We've seen it do good things with no volume, get the volume at the market open, which they will. They're averaging around, 20 million or 19 million shares a day. And if they can get in some kind of direction, they can trade well. Today could be the day if the market's going to be positive and stay strong here. But I think we can find something a little bit better. Carlos, just a thought. This is days where gap is list so long, we should put the volume up to 1 million, Hector. So I get where you're going, and you're a 3-star general. So yeah, I see where you're going. But the problem is, though, you're going to find some stocks under that are going to be okay to trade. So you're going to limit yourself quite a bit. For example, American Airlines, CCL, these are good ones you want to probably keep on your list. NVIDIA is looking good. So even AMD will get to 1 million. But yeah, I agree. I wish there was a better way to filter them. But yeah, it's the volume could be very deceiving. I'll tell you that much. Neo here.
What would we do for 45 minutes every morning when we came in if we just had like 2 stocks on there?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Like
those
good
days.
old days. Remember that?
Good old days. Oh man, we're searching for stocks to put on that list. So yeah. Here, Neo guys. If we had a list like this during that time, we would have thought, no, something's wrong with the market. We're not trading today. Not now.
Something's wrong with my scanner.
Yeah, something's wrong with the scanner. Something's wrong, but not quite. Here's Neo, guys. 1.1 million shares traded, looking good. Pre-market actions looking nice. I do like Neo. I'm gonna add this one on here. That is good. Thank you for that one, Yanni. Street, you're giving us Lucid. What is Lucid up to? I know they had a huge drop. Did they come back from that? They did. Huge gap down yesterday. Did recover. I didn't watch this yesterday. I was focused on something else, but did recover. They got the volume today. Maybe they can get going here. I don't know. I think it's going to be probably choppy this morning. After such a recovery yesterday, I think you're just going to get into some chop. There might be some mixed.
Lucid will be on my list.
Yeah, I have it on here too. We'll have to see how it goes here. Docu this morning. I think Docu, the fun might be over. I think Norm has taken all the juice out of this already when he was trading it up in Vancouver. I think it's just could be flat right now. See, we had the nice drop. We had the nice recovery. I think you might be in some indecision there. So I could be wrong, but I think we can focus on other stuff this morning. MMTR, No, not looking great this morning so far compared to everything else. Neo, Lucid is good. MDB, MDB. No,
Trades
no,
like
no, 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 no.
garbage.
What is this, by the way?
They had news,
MDB?
MongoDB, but it trades terribly.
Hmm. Doesn't look fun. This barely gets any volume. Everything under 1.9
Yeah, it's
here. Yeah,
thin,
it's
spready.
and it can move. I mean,
Yeah.
the range today 525 to 509. So, ooh, with 55,000 shares traded. Careful, guys. Careful. mRNA. What do we have? mRNA. No, not today. I think we have so many other great stocks. Maybe a possible if you like this one this morning. I don't like it as much. I liked it yesterday. Yesterday was great, and all these other days were really nice here. The way it was setting up. Today, I'm not sure. I like the support level you have there on 269. We're slamming up against that. Maybe later down the line. Twitter, we do have SYTA. SYTA. It started good, but not looking great right now unless we can find some support. Let's check the float on this SYTA. This morning, they're sitting at 4.6. So low flow stock there. They got to find some support quickly here, or else it just becomes one of these stocks that just pops up and then just sells down below the VWAP. And all you see is this, and you tend to just get these fake outs. You think it's going to break out, and then boom, you get slammed again towards the bottom like you did right here. Right? I don't like that, right? How many people got probably caught in this fake out? It looks like it's bouncing. As soon as it gets to 475, you just get slammed with the volume. That is no good to me. If you look at this one here, STRNA, it's a little bit different, right? You kind of find some support here. It needs to keep going. If it starts dwindling down like this, it's another one that is probably not going to look too good today. That can change, but that is something I look for when I look at these low flow stocks. They have to have that nice uptrend, or else you can be in some trouble. Neo we have on deck. INTC we have on deck. MROD, so that's good there. They're on our main list right over here. 3.7, amazing volume, up 7%, giving some back right now, but still in a strong gap up this morning. Neo is good. I think COUP is not a great one, if I recall.
It doesn't trade well. They had
Yeah.
earnings last night. Good story there, but or excuse me, bad story there, but they do not trade well.
Yeah, be careful with this one. Spread is spread is $1 plus right now, guys. Spread is $1 plus. So yes, that can get better at the market open, but I don't see it by much because if you look at the daily here, you're also having very light volume. 3 million shares as a top end, right? For a stock that can move 200 to 180. I mean, that just tells you the spread and the price action is going to be funky. So depending on your style of trading, you might like that. I sure don't. So careful on that. SQ up 4.3. SQ, nice little pop today. This could be. I'm not a big fan of SQ. This is one of those stocks that I just cannot trade very well. I cannot read the price action properly. But there's some of you guys that are doing an amazing job, especially Brian. He does great on SQ. I won't be surprised if he has it on his list if he was trading today. But yeah, it's definitely gapping up. I'm just not gonna have it on mine just because I cannot trade it very well. INTC is good. DAQ is I'm concerned with DAQ for today. No, what do you think about DAQ? I know you traded this one over the week. What do you think about
I
this
agree
one?
with your previous assessment that it's. I think it's a little bit done for the time being. I want to see what it does after it breaks out of the range it's set on Friday's candle.
Yes, yeah, yes, I agree 100%. Once it starts breaking out of this, it can be a
Yeah.
whole lot of fun, whether closing the gap or heading down, which won't be pretty. My bias is that closing the gap probably will be the way it's gonna go, but we have to wait and see on that. All right, guys, let's stop here. Let's take over, look over at YouTube. Our friends over there on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up. We highly appreciate it, guys. It helps us out a whole lot in the channel here. So thank you for that. What do you guys like this morning? Rick, you're giving us I think we have this. We looked at this ISIG. ISIG. Yeah, I think the fun yesterday was great. And again, if you look at yesterday's action, you can see here at some points it wasn't pretty. A couple of halts in here. So again, just be careful with this low flow. Today, they are down at 23%. You do not have shares for sure. The volume is there. I think if anybody's up here that held is probably gonna be taking profit. Anybody stuck, sure. I don't know. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but just be careful with this one, especially the second days. These lower flow stocks are very tricky, very tricky. You don't get that explosiveness you do sometimes when that on that first initial day. All right, where I left off, right over here. Okay, Riot. Yeah, I have Mara on my list. MRNRA. I have them here. They're more of a possible. Now that I look at this more and I look at other companies like Apple, Neo, AMD, I'm gonna move them down. I think they're just up slightly, but there's really nothing explosive about them right now. So I'm gonna move Mara down. If you look at Rise, similar situation there. It's nothing great. The volume is not huge on that. You're giving us Twitter. Twitter we do have on deck, guys, here, 1.4. Twitter looks more interesting than Bitcoin right now, to be honest. Maybe Twitter we could move up. The Twitter, Riot, Mara. Okay, we looked at those. All right, YouTube is very quiet this morning. Not a whole lot of tickets thrown out. Okay, cool. We will stop here then. We will go over to announcements, and we will fine tune this list when we get back. Where's my hotkey for announcements? Did I think it's this one? There we go.
All right.
Let me get it to start from the beginning here. There it is.
All right. Tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, you've got John talking about resetting your trading life. Sometimes you get in a rut. You just need to take a break, get away, come back fresh. Be talking about that tonight. And then next week, 8 p.m. Tuesday, gap trading will be covered by Jared. Mind the gap. And then tomorrow night, it should say 8 p.m. Eastern. Apologize for the typo. Dr. Kenneth Reed doing part 2 of his Keys to Consistency series. And then the next week at 5 p.m., that is the correct time, will be Creta talking about building resilience, how to bounce back quickly from your mistakes and losses in your trading. All right. Just a reminder, all the Super Chat, Super Sticker revenue will be donated to Shriners Children's Hospitals this month. No, Doctor, I just said it. Doctor, that's a typo. Dr. Reed's webinar is at 8 p.m. I don't know why whenever Dr. Reed's on, for whatever reason, they accidentally put that time. He's in the U.S. To access our free replay simulator we have created, go to stocktradingsimulator.com. While you're there, don't forget to sign up for the homework assignments by putting your email in at the bottom. And if you would like to try out BBT, if you're on YouTube and haven't tried it out, you can use the promo code premarket24. Just go to barebulltraders.com, scroll down about halfway to homepage. You'll see the comparison table that's an abbreviated version of it is up on the screen now. Right below it, you'll have that test drive now button. Click that, enter your info, and premarket24. It will only charge you once. It's not a recurring payment. Yeah, you have to actively choose to become a member after that if you'd like to continue on.
All right. Thank you, Norm, so much for that, guys. All right, let's get to it here. We have a nice list this morning, starting with INTC, amazing volume, 4 million. We have Baba here kind of representing some of the Chinese stocks that are bouncing today. They had a bit of a hit over the last couple of weeks. So this was looking good this morning. Plug, I have Plug here. Might be more of a possible. But again, a little bit of activity there. CCL is, you know what, the more I look at CCL, it's just stuck in this chop that I do not like. And it doesn't have incredible volume neither, right? 876. So we'll keep a close eye on that one. We'll still do levels for it because we'll be prepared, but it might be more of a possible. American Airlines, on the other hand, looks a little bit nicer. So that's good. Apple definitely probably one of the best pre-market actions and daily. The daily on Apple is what makes it look even better on this. And we're getting close to that all-time highs. There might be some profit taken here at the market open. So just be aware of that, right? Many people here probably thought it was going to be the end of the world. So when things were dropping, so they might be aggressive on the trigger. Who knows? But just be careful. Usually when these stocks get up to that all-time high, they tend to be have some profit taken or selling happening at that point. So that looks good. Secondary list. Let's see if we find something better than what we have up top. Mara, I don't like as much. Neo, I might move Neo up. I might move Neo up instead of some other ones. So let's it's 9 o'clock. We have time to do levels for at least 7 or 8 if we have to. So we'll move Neo to the top here. We'll do levels for it. We'll fine tune a little bit later. AMD is good. Billy, I have it here because it can trade very well, but not looking all that great right now. United Airlines backup for American Airlines today. Nvidia also decent. Twitter, it has the volume. It's just not seeing great pre-market action on it. We might need to wait for the market open to see how that, if it's going to be explosive or not. And then Lucid here is up 1.3. I'm sorry, 1.3 million. Also pretty aggressive there. So that's good. All right, let's get some levels in here. INTC, I do like this one, even though it's not a great trader this morning. Let's get some levels for it. High of the pre-market at 56.15. So put that there. Low of the pre-market at 54. So you got the ranges top and bottom there on INTC. Their price action right now is sitting right at a level. You can clearly see that right on there, right? See that 54.75 or so. We're going to mark a level there as well because you can see that sitting there also, right? Great area of a lot of resistance here as you try to get above this this level, and it was not able to until a little bit here for a couple of days, right? Creating that 56.14, which is now the high of your pre-market. So there we go. All right, outside of these range that we have here towards the bottom, we have a couple of days slamming up against 53, and then about 2 or 3 around 51, 52 right here, right? So you got a couple of days showing support there. A lot of more resistance happening here. Tons of days, guys, closing and opening around that 54. So we have that set towards the bottom there, so we're good. All right, now let's go towards the top here. If we look at above 56, we do have a level at 57. It's just the issue with INTC is usually getting that continuation play, right? They can be very choppy at times. So if we can get outside of this range, get a nice continuation play, that would be very nice for us this morning. So we'll keep it on here, up 7.8. Very good stuff happening there. Here is Baba this morning. Towards the bottom, just look how beautiful the last 2 trading days are, creating tons of support for you. So you're all set down there. And let me scroll to the back here. Let's see here. Yeah, right on there. 130.26 high of the pre-market. 130.30 to be exact is the number. So that's good there. Above that, you do have a slight area here, 134, and then right up here, 140.21, 134.51 and 140.21. So couple of levels there in Baba. Again, they're looking very nice this morning. Great volume, up 4%. Had a nice bounce back day yesterday. Let's see if we can get some kind of continuation today. Here is Plug. Plug, I think I'm going to move down, guys. I mean, yeah, I think it's more of a possible today. Let's move this one down for now. And, you know, we'll do level since we have it up here already. But we'll move it down. We'll keep it on our secondary list. Right now, up 4.6. Volume is only 204, which, again, does not mean much for Plug at times. 35.97 is the high of the pre-market. Towards the bottom, you're set down here, guys. Highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. Right up here, you do have 37.62. And then that 37.62 looking very good there. Tons of areas of resistance right over here. You got some support happening there. So a lot of touches on that 37.62. Slightly above this, not the best daily, but I do like that this area here. A lot of touches around that 39.97, might be 40 to be exact. So that's a good one there. And then towards the bottom, as I mentioned earlier, you're pretty much set. Even your low of your pre-market is marked by yesterday's highs there. Heading down, we do have Baba. That's good. CCL this morning, again, pretty choppy right now in the pre-market. We have a nice gap up of 3.6. I think now we're just deciding to do deciding what's next here. 1935 is the high of the pre-market, an area where they struggled the last couple of weeks here and here as far as yesterday. So let's see if we have the juice to get above that. Let's see if we can get going there. Above this, the bottom of this gap will be 1978, and slightly above this we do have 2070. So that's good there. All right. Scrolling to the back here, let's see what do we have. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Not 2070 is a nice one there as well. We can mark down the low of the pre-market all the way down here at 19, but this level here, this area is interesting, right? So that's been the support all this morning. Again, not with a whole lot of volume, as you can see here, but we're still doing almost 1 million shares traded so far, right? So we do got plenty of volume here. It's just not looking very nice right now. So we'll have to be patient with that one. Here's American Airlines. Looks a little bit better. Volume 776. High of the pre-market 1865. So we'll slam a level there. Above that, we do have an area here on 19 18,896 or 19 could be a good one there. Above that, we do have 2012. So we can add a level there as well. That's a major level. You might have some here between these two, right? You might have something around 1950 probably. Yeah, 1950 is a good one because those whole dollars are usually interesting there. You can see a lot of support happening there, some resistance as well at 1952. So that's good there. Also towards the bottom, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days on American Airlines. Now here's Apple, and this one is very, very exciting. You do not need to really add anything on this, guys. Last 2 days are doing all the job here for you. You have your low of your pre-market set. Maybe you just mark down the high of the pre-market at 169.45. Throw a level there, and I think you're all set. Above this, it's just your all-time highs, right? Around that 170.26 area. So pretty good right now, guys. Looking real nice in the pre-market. 1.5 million shares traded. The day looks amazing. Everything looking very good on Apple. Definitely one of my top ones this morning. Here is Neo. Neo up 5%. Just again, after such a nice drop, you're getting a little bit of a bounce here. So that could be interesting. Let's see if we're going to get some type of continuation. So let's remove some of these levels here, because if you look at 34.96, that's kind of supported now by your highs from yesterday. And we could keep 36.62 here actually. So let's just get rid of this one there. We'll click it, hit delete. There we go. Looks a lot cleaner. And now all you have to do is just mark down the high of your pre-market, 134.11. So just mark that there and you'll be set to go. Make sure I put this on do not disturb. Excellent. What else? I think we're good. Neo looks very, very good, guys. Good volume there as well. Secondary list. Let's do another pass real quickly. Here's Plug. Here's Mara. Yeah, Mara's not looking good at all. AMD is looking decent. How many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have our 6, but AMD is a good one. Billy, not so much. It's still not getting any better. Let's get rid of it. United is my backup for American Airlines on the travel companies. Nvidia could be interesting as well. Twitter, what we got going on Twitter? This pre-market action with 1.4 just looks shady. I don't know what's going on there. And then Lucid here. Now this looks a lot more explosive, and we have levels for this already. We can mark down the high of the pre-market over at 46.96. Let's mark that there, and we're set to go. I actually like Lucid. I'm gonna move it up here, guys. I like the pop they got yesterday after such a big drop. I think we might see a little bit of a choppiness, right? Because again, this pop was so nice, right? You got down huge and on some negative news, right? They're being checked out by the SEC, and now they're popping up like this. Do they really have the juice to get going here? We'll have to see after such a negative catalyst, which is not good for them. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, guys, we got a pretty good list. We're done a little bit early, 9:08. Let's take a look at what our moderators are looking at. Let's see if they have their list together. I see Jared, I see Tiffany, I see Dima have their list all set. So we'll take a look at what's going on there. Let me resize this here, get this out of the way. As I am doing this, guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We really, really appreciate it. We always like to get around 250, 300. We got almost to 300 yesterday. So thank you for that, guys. Appreciate your support there. All right, looking at this, let's see here. Let's bring this over. Hold on a second. I'll wait for more moderators to put their list together. I know it's a little bit early, and there's a lot to watch, a lot to go through. As you look at this watch list here, we got tons of stuff today. So your list could look completely different, and you can still have an amazing list. Ben, Mara spread is too expensive in my trade book for the price for the stock. Well, is it? Mara usually has a good spread. What's the spread now? Okay, so yeah, now it's not great. It's 10 cents. So 10 cents, but usually their spread is decent. But yeah, right now pre-market action is horrible. That might get better at the market open. But what I don't like about it today is just, they have a nice gap up, but the volume is just not there. They got to get more volume, so they're just not looking too explosive right now. It can get really bad. Yeah, I bet. I mean, 10 cents. It's bad. It's not great for a $44 stock, but I expect this can get better at the market open. But yeah, I don't think these guys are in play today. And then Tesla, I see a lot of you guys throwing out Tesla. Let's take a look at what's going on there. Tesla up 3.4 as well. 523,000 shares traded. Tesla is definitely looking good, guys. If you'd like to trade this one, add it to your list as well. Yeah, jumpy it does get. Yeah, it does get. Mara does get very jumpy. That I can agree with. A few times I traded it, you know, you gotta have a reasonable stop on that thing, or else you're gonna be stopped out. So you do got to take a reasonable number of shares, planning for for it to jump around a little bit. But I just don't see it good today, actually. Yeah. So Tesla, guys. Yeah, Tesla is good. I'm not gonna keep it on here. I usually don't trade it. I have Neo instead. They're also looking very nice here this morning. But you could definitely watch Tesla also. All right, let's see what our moderators are looking at, guys. Let's bring this over here. Let's resize this, move that out the way, and then bring this right over here. Our moderators this morning, we have Jairus looking at a watch list. No morning trading, but I love most of us on the gappers list with volume. So he's not trading this morning, but a lot of stuff with good volume this morning, the gappers list. That is correct. Tiffany's looking at Apple, Neo, secondary list, Baba, INTC, and Lucid. Dima is looking at Apple, AMD, INTC, and Twitter. John is looking at Apple, AMD, and Tesla, all looking very nice this morning. And that is what we have so far. So we'll wait for other moderators to put their list together as we see what else is moving here. So what else you guys like? What else can we look at? I see Disney. I don't know about Disney. What's going on with Disney? Yeah, they're out, but they don't have that I'm aware of. There's not any news. It just doesn't look great compared to everything else, right? I mean, we have 6 already. I have 7 on my list actually, and I can even put in AMD. It's interesting. Twitter's a little funky, but you see, Twitter's starting to get better now. Now this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for these candles to kind of get a little bit wider. Here, it just seems just a mess, but now it's starting to get a little bit nicer here. If it continues to do this, build these type of candles, that's what I like to see in the pre-market. I like to see, candles moving. I don't like to see this. That's a whole bunch of this. This is no good. This right here, connecting candles like this, kind of telling a better story. That is a lot better there, right? And this here, guys, this is just a transaction being printed. Usually the price, it does not mean that it came down here and went back up. Usually not the case, right? So these candles are looking a lot nicer this morning. Yeah, so Twitter's good. Actually, let's do levels for Twitter just to be prepared for it. 45.93, 46 to be exact is the high of the pre-market. Above that, we do have levels here around 47 and right over here around 48.52. So towards the bottom, plenty of stuff happening down there with the highs and lows. So you're pretty much set on there. So we're good there. Twitter is nice. Again, you can do so much. Nico, you're asking me for TELL? I mean, this is no good for me, at least. This is just, if that's the one you're looking at, yeah, this is no good. This is choppy. Sitting on the American Stock Exchange, which I typically do not like. I think stocks, for the most part, everything I look at in the American Stock Exchange looks horrible to trade. Horrible, horrible. And this is not looking interesting at all for me. Just look how the trading is this morning. Very algo-like. Look how the trading was yesterday. I mean, it's you got this nice run right, but outside of that, look at this. Look at how choppy this is, right? Yeah, this is no fun. Be very careful with this. This morning, if you're gonna be trading this, be very careful with this. Okay. All right, guys, we're all set. Long term, I think they are building a LNG. What's an LNG plant? What is that? So TEL is building a plan. All right, yeah, no. See, that's the thing, guys. Long-term investments, maybe this could be the best, the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know, but for day trading, ooh. But yeah, there's some stocks that are like that. For example, I'll give you a great example, which is one that I'm familiar with, is KO. KO is an amazing stock for investors. They love this stock, right? The dividends they pay out are incredible. Day trading, horrible day trading. It's just it trades like garbage, guys. Really, really bad. But if you're a long-term investor and if you like that dividends every month, this is the one you want to have on your portfolio. It's incredible. But for day trading, it's no good for us. So you have stocks like that. Swing trading and day trading, very, very different. You have stocks that will do very well in the swing trading, and some that that could be good day traders, and some that can be horrible day trading stocks. So TEL not looking good for me as far as a day trade. All right, guys, I think we're all set. Let me see more moderators with their list here. We do have Peter coming in, so he's actually putting a couple of SPACs on there. No IPOs for today. And we are all set, guys. Just to recap, as we finish off here, we do have INTC on our list. They're popping a pretty nice tick off late last night. Here, nice pop. So we'll see where that goes. 5 million shares traded. That is looking nice. We have Baba on the list, guys. They're up 4.4, 1.2. We have a CCL, everything coming down a little bit right now. Right now, looks like we have American Airlines dropping a little bit there. Apple is amazing this morning, beautiful daily. We have Neo with amazing volume as well, up 5%. A lot of stuff in the green this morning, and we have Lucid as well that can be very explosive. So possible continuation of after a very nice gap down yesterday and kind of recover nicely there. So a whole lot going on today, guys. Thank you so much for joining the pre-market prep this morning. Give us a thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very much. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So take care, trade safe, and have a good one.